That down, let's get things started with this, shall we? Boy, things blew up a little bit. A little bit earlier today, as I'm getting ready to do the show. I was getting ready to do the show, and all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of people start writing into me saying, John, did you see the news? Variety is confirming that Marvel has hired an X-Men director, and it's Jack Schaefer, the guy who directed Thunderbolts. I hope I'm pronouncing his name. Or is it Jake Schaefer or Jack Schaefer? I think it's Jack. Anyway.
Jake.
Jake. It is Jake. And I'm like, really? Because I remember a couple months ago, there was talk that they were looking at him, that he was they were talking to him about possibly directing the X-Men movie. Yeah, he was circling. Of course, he directed Thunderbolts, which he did an amazing job on.
Ensemble cast makes sense.
He directed Beef, which won all kinds of Emmys. He was one of the directors on Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Which I completely adored.
Again, an ensemble cast.
Wonderful job. So I go over to Variety. Here I am. I'm on Variety. There's a story with...
I think it's in the Pitbull story. I think it's a paragraph.
Yeah,
in
so
the
I start
Pitbull
looking
story.
around. I'm like, there's a Bruce Springsteen story. There's 28 Years Death Stranding 2. I'm going through Variety. I'm going to find nothing. I went over to the Hollywood Reporter. Found nothing. I went over to Deadline. Found nothing. As of this moment, this is 11:14 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, LA time. There was nothing. But sure enough, somebody mentions, I said, where are you guys seeing this? I don't see it on Variety anywhere. And somebody said, well, New Rock Stars said it's on Variety. And I love New Rock Stars. So I'm like, well, okay, let me go. I'm sure they would have put a link. I go over to New Rock Stars Instagram account. They're saying Jake Shrier will officially direct the X-Men movie. He previously directed Thunderbolts. Again, and then they put via Variety. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go to Variety's Instagram page. Jonathan says, well, maybe it's just on Variety's Instagram. They haven't posted the story yet. I go to Variety's Instagram. Nothing. I go back to Variety again. Nothing. Here's where it all came from. Yesterday on Variety, and if like, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, if you've seen this now running all over social, they've officially hired an X-Men director. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. They will. They will, but they have not yet. So this is where all the confusion comes from. Yesterday, Variety posted an article around dinner time called Marvel Adds Fourth Possible Movie to 2028 Slate. We are going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, because that's a big story in and of itself, right? So somebody pointed me to this article. I'm like, this is about Marvel adding a fourth movie. This is nothing about Jake Shrier possibly directing X-Men. So I start reading it and reading it and reading it. Nothing, 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 until I get to the last paragraph. In the last paragraph of a story about something else, it reads this. They're talking about what movie could be in 2028. Could it be Blade? Could it be a Fantastic Four? Then they mentioned Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts director Jake Shrier has been tapped to helm the MCU's first mutant movie, although many actors from Fox's X-Men movies in the 2000s, including Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, will appear in the documentary. That's it.
Good enough for me.
I want to remind you that just a few months ago, Variety literally made this a full headline when they were just looking at Jake Shrier. This is back in May 8th of this year. If Marvel had officially now made it official, they've now picked him. He's it. The headline on Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, coming soon, every site you can think of, the headline would be Marvel taps Thunderbolts director Jake Shrier to lead new X-Men movie. That would be the headline. It would not be this. Some little line buried in the final paragraph of a story about something else. Look, we have talked, Rob, we've had to do this before a number of times over the last couple of years, where like some little piece of information is seemingly revealed in a buried away paragraph that clearly would be a real big headline if it was real. And it was clearly just a matter of the writer either miswording it or not stating it properly. Guys, no, Marvel has not made it official that Jake Shrier has. And I get why our friends over at New Rockstars wrote that. I mean, it says right here, Jake Shrier has been tapped, right? I get why people looked at that and believe me, I'm not casting shade on anybody. I get it. But folks, this has happened before. It's happened many times before. We've had to have the same exact discussion before. If this were actually the thing, it would be the headline story on Variety, not some minor detail buried in paragraph 8 of another story.
I would think they'd want clicks. So over at Variety.
This is simply a situation where what's the name of the writer? Adam B. Very. Sounds like he's going to be a soul singer in the 1990s.
But he's legit. He's a legit reporter.
He is. He's absolutely legit.
Yeah.
But this is a situation, and obviously Variety, this is clearly a situation where in wrapping up a final little detail that's a throwaway detail as added color and context to a different story was just probably thinking about the articles they wrote 2 months ago about the fact that they're looking at him.
Yeah.
If this was an official thing that Marvel was now announcing, it would not be buried in paragraph 8 as a throwaway line in an article about something else. It's likened unto today on Boston this evening, a new pet store opens on the corner of 6th and Sapphire. The store will offer many brands of food for your delightful little furry pets, and an alien invasion has started in Washington. No,
is that true?
The alien invasion starting in Washington would lead the news. It would not be about a pet store opening and feeding people. So anyway, guys, look, if you see, and by the way, Rob, to be clear, I believe there is a very good chance that Jake Shrier does end up being the director of X-Men. And I am all for his selection. I thought how he handled Thunderbolts, a bunch of throwaway B, C, and D level characters of Marvel or of Disney Plus shows, was masterful. I love what he did in Beef. He won Emmys for that.
Yeah.
I loved his sensibilities in Skeleton Crew. I think he's a great choice. Could it be somebody else? Could be somebody else. But I, for the record, think it's a very good chance he does end up being it. And maybe in the next 24 hours to the next 6 weeks, they do announce that he's the director, and I won't be surprised at all. But that hasn't happened yet. So anywhere you see them running, it's official, to let people know, no, it's not. It's being misinterpreted. He probably will be the director of it, but it's just not yet. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, no crowds, no stress. Just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, you saw this whole situation unfolding. How did you see it?
Well, to me, it's a little, we've been talking about this since I've known you. We've been streaming now all the way back to AMC Heroes for 10 years. And how many times have we talked about, look, you were the one that was always looking back. Let's find the source for this information. You were always digging in, and you'd be like, well, the word used in this particular article you found that was buried was the word tapped, not hired. Tapped is like, hey, man, you're it. Would you like to direct X-Men? Because we think you're great.
Yeah, I think it was a little semantics mistake.
Yeah, you're at the top of the list. It doesn't say hired. It says tapped. And if you were to do any research, Jake Shrier, how is it? I don't know. It's Jake. Just call him our man.
Just call him Jake.
A boy, Jake.
Shrier.
He was tapped just like the article said. They're circling him. It makes sense. The reason why Bryan Singer was hired to direct the first X-Men was because Lawrence Schuler Donner was impressed with the way he dealt with an ensemble in Usual Suspects.
One of my favorite movies.
And that it's the same thing. Directing an ensemble of actors is a hard thing to do. And if you show that you're adept at doing so, I mean, I don't think anybody would deny that the character interplay in Thunderbolts was great. You know, that everybody was defined, the way that the characters were set up and dealt with.
And then the chemistry
developed,
between them.
all of that. It would make sense. I mean, the movie's not called X-Dude, X-Man. It's X-Men. You know, you've got guys and girls and mutants and everything in between. That's what the X-Men are. You need somebody that can humanize these characters and make them work as an ensemble. And Thunderbolts, despite its, you know, relatively lackluster box office, although it still did okay, I guess, maybe not compared to what it cost, but still, it makes sense that they would hire him to come back because his talents, it's hard to get somebody to do. And like you said, it would not surprise me at all. It's official. Our boy Jake has been hired to direct X-Men, written by this person. It's going before the camera's thing. We're going to hire so-and-so who's playing Wolverine. We don't know if there's a Wolverine in this.
Right.
You know, we'll get some kind of a real story.
Yeah. I would think Disney's publicist would want this to be a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the problem is we jump over I love it. Fans are fanatics. I get it. We want to have this kind of engagement. We want to get excited. We want to report these things, but the word tap doesn't mean hired. And if you follow like you do, you follow the actual reporting. Our boy Jake was, as they said in May, he's been eyed to direct the movie.
Yep.
Hasn't been hired yet. And maybe, by the way, he has been hired, because another thing people have to remember is when something is verified in the trades, that means it had already happened.
Yeah.
It was done weeks or months ago, yes, and it's finally allowed to be announced because they're going to move forward with something. But I would ask everyone to look how many times they've announced a director for Star Trek 4. Yeah. About 4 different directors and different screenwriters, and so far it ain't never happened. And they were hired.
And by the way, let me be very, very clear about this. This isn't one of those situations that does happen all too often, where it's like some Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart site says something and then everybody starts running with it. I get it. I get why some people, because again, this is variety.
Yeah.
This is not some hackaway thing. And it does say Jack, I keep on wanting to say Schaefer, which is of course the guy who did WandaVision.
Right.
Jake Shrier. And I do think he will be the guy. So again, totally get why the good guys over at New Rockstars who put that in there, totally get it. It's just that, guys, when you actually take a step back, look at the whole picture and look at it in context, that's not what's happening here. They have not officially made it that he is doing it yet. As of 11:25 a.m., I believe it can happen. I believe there's a good chance it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened yet. Anyway, guys. Question is for you. Yes, Sketchcraft in the live chat saying, sorry, Jake. Yeah, like poor Jake Shrier woke up this morning, opened up his Instagram and saw New Rockstar says, I've been hired to direct X-Men.
Sorry, Jake, it's Chinatown.
Sorry, Jake.
The two Jakes.
The two Jakes.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What would you think, though, of Jake Shriver actually being the director of? I'm all for it. I love his track record. Like Rob said, he's shown he can totally work with good ensembles, young, older. I think it would be great, and I actually think it will happen. It just hasn't happened yet. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.